All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. This is Brother Wariella, and this is my channel, Rise of Israel. First and foremost, I like to give all honor and glory unto the Heavenly Father, who the world will call God, but whose real name is Yahweh, and I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world will call Jesus Christ, but whose real name is Yahweh Shai in the Paleo Hebrew, right? This is a quick video going into heaven according to the scriptures. What is it? How do you get there? And we're really not going to be too much how do you get there, but what is really understanding what is heaven? You know, many people look at heaven as just one specific heaven that we see, right? And people couldn't be even further wrong, further from the truth, right? Because in the scriptures, you see many different ways the word heaven is used. You have the first heaven, which is what we'll be talking about today, which is dominion on the earth. Man operates in heaven, right? Man falls into a man can rise into rulership, and now the kingdom is his. Yet certain Israelites that were given the kingdom, right? You have certain non-Israelites that were given the kingdom in their own way. But chiefly, we understand that in the last days, after the coming of the Son of God, heaven will be established again on earth. And that will be the reestablishing of the first heaven. Here, the second heaven, that is the shortest video we'll be going over, which is goes into the sky, the stars, the skies where the birds dwell, as well as the constellations, the sky. That's also a heaven. Third heaven is the third heaven, the place where the Most High and the angels dwell, the place where we see when men pass away, they go to they go to the third heaven, and we see that even certain apostles have went to the third heaven and described their experiences of going there. But without further ado, we're going to get into the video. First, I would like to go to the book of Isaiah, right? Because many people have a huge misconception of this specific verse, and they believe it's talking about the spiritual demon Satan, right? So this is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12, and it says this: "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Right? So many people go and they see the word Lucifer, and because Christianity has indoctrinated people to believe that Lucifer is Satan, or is the spiritual demon Satan that God blessed with musical instruments and the ability to make music and all this thing. He was as wise as an angel, and he was beautiful, and then he got kicked out of heaven, and now they've created all these different things that literally make no sense. It's no foundation, no biblical foundation, at least. And I wanted to go to this verse because it mentions heaven, and this will be our first way to attack that viewpoint by explaining what heaven looks like and what falling from heaven could look like, right? First things first, I want to grab this in the Strong's Concordance, right? So, see the Strong's Concordance. We have Isaiah 14 and 12. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Right? The word Lucifer, right? Hallel. This is of Latin origin. The word Lucifer meaning light bearer. That's all it means. Light bearer does not mean spiritual demon Satan. But let's look at the biblical usage of this word. It's only used one time in the whole scriptures. All right? Shining one, morning star, Lucifer. Look, of the king of Babylon, and Satan figuratively, which emphasis on the word figuratively. This is not the spiritual demon Satan. It just isn't. It's literally, this whole context in this chapter is talking about the king of Babylon. And really the context of this chapter goes back to Isaiah 13. It's a 2-chapter prophecy on the fall of Babylon the Great. But let's keep going. Hallel describing the king of Babylon. That's literally what it's talking about, right? It means Lucifer, morning star. It just means the person who holds the light bearer, the one that everyone comes to. And if you're familiar with the symbolism of Babylon the Great, they're likened to a light that all nations have gathered themselves unto, right? So with that, we're going to jump up early, right? Just to get the context, is Isaiah 14 and verse 1, and it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, right? We understand that when the Israelites return back to the land, the Most High will cause them to be in peace. The strangers will be joined unto them, and they will cleave to Israel, right? And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. So we see that the nations that oppressed Israel, they will be captives. They will be servants and handmaids to the Israelites. And they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from thy hard bondage wherein thou hast served. Here's the point, verse 4. And thou shalt take up this proverb against who? Against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. This is a proverb against Babylon the Great. That when the Israelites get brought back into the land, they're going to be speaking. They're going to be singing. They're going to be making these proverbs against Babylon. They're going to be saying things like, how have you fallen from heaven? O light bearer, O Lucifer, son of the morning. This is a fulfillment of biblical This is a prophecy about Israel being redeemed from Babylon the Great, being brought back into the land, and then making a mockery of Babylon the Great when they fall. That's literally what this is about specifically. This is not spookism about Satan falling. It literally doesn't say the spiritual demon Satan anywhere in this context, right? And there's nowhere you can find where it says that the spiritual demon Satan got kicked out of heaven because they rebelled against God, right? Matter of fact, if you want to just understand how to what extent the devil worships the Most High, look, this is James 2 and verse 21, and it says, no, not 21, 19, and it says, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble, right? So we understand that the devils believe and tremble. Satan's job is not to rebel against God and kick out of heaven, right? Nonetheless, we see that Lucifer fell from heaven. What does it mean to fall from heaven? Understanding that this Lucifer is talking about the kingdom of Babylon. Babylon fell from heaven, right? And where did Babylon fall? Let's go back to it. Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? This is an omen against Babylon. You're going to fall. So it's telling you that them falling from heaven is them falling from an estate, right? How do we know this? Because when we go to scriptures like Lamentations 2 and 1, it says this: how hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger? This is now also a scripture speaking about how Zion fell. If you understand anything about the book of Lamentations, it's about the time where the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. And Israel was led into captivity. A large portion of Israelites were led into the captivity, into the Babylonians. And Jeremiah is writing Lamentations about it. And he's saying that the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger. And it says, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remember not his footstool in the day of his anger. So what do we see? We see that Israel, the beauty of Israel, was cast down from heaven. Does that mean Israel was literally up in heaven with the Most High? No, they were cast down from a low estate. They were cast down to a low estate. Judgment was brought on Israel. They were literally, they fell from heaven. I mean, they fell from the kingdom. They fell from rulership on earth, right? So this mimics this mimics the same idea that Babylon, of Babylon's fall. Babylon fell from heaven, is prophesied to fall from heaven, meaning they're prophesied to fall from rulership, to fall from being a top nation. What other verses show this as well in regards to Babylon's judgment? We can go back to Isaiah and go to verse 47. Chapter 47. And we can start from the top. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground." Didn't we just read in Isaiah 14 and 12 that they were cast to the ground from heaven? It's the same thing. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. So what happens when you're kicked out of heaven and cast to the ground? You don't have a throne anymore, meaning there's no rulership. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. That's the same thing that happened to Israel. The beauty of Israel was cast down to heaven, just like the beauty of Babylon the Great will be cast down. You see what I'm saying? So this is an omen of judgment towards Babylon the Great, right? We can keep reading. It says, "Take the millstone and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. And as for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, and the Holy One of Israel." Here's the point. "Sit thou silent, get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldees, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms." So Babylon the Great will no longer be understood as the Lady of Kingdoms. So this is this is all Isaiah 14:12 is talking about, is a prophecy of Babylon coming from a high estate to a low estate in the sight of all the nations, right? It's just losing the kingdom. They just lost their rulership in the kingdom. We see this parallel throughout so many different scriptures. We see, matter of fact, we can grab this real quick, where the kingdom is taken away from thee, right? We see Saul, right? So in 1 Samuel 15, we see Saul losing the kingdom to David, right? This is 1 Samuel 15 and verse 28, and it says this. It says this, "And Samuel said unto him, The Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and have given it to thy neighbor that is better than thou." So the kingdom was taken from Saul and given to David. The kingdom was taken from Saul and was given to David. It's literally that simple. They had the kingdom, and the kingdom was taken away from them. It's literally that simple. This is not a mystical, this is not a mystical thing. This is not some weird thing. It's simply and plainly just expressing the fact that when the Most High has anointed Israel, or has put a king up on a pedestal, they have literally been given the kingdom, the kingdom of the earth, right? Now, when they go off, they lose the kingdom. That's it. They lose their king. They lose their heaven. You see what I'm saying? They literally just lose the heaven that they had. But nonetheless, let's keep on going. We see that Saul lost the kingdom to David. Now we also see in 1 Kings that 1 Kings chapter 11, we can start at verse 11, right? We also see that Solomon loses the kingdom as well, right? But not the way that Saul lost it, right? So this is 1 Kings 11 and 11. It says, "Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant." Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Right? How did he do that? By the judgment he did on Rehoboam, when Rehoboam went off by not taking the counsel of the elders and caused himself to lose the 10 tribes. Now, was it really of his own will? No. The Most High put the Spirit on him to do that. But nonetheless, it still happened. Prime example, like I said, prime example is the point being is that the Most High took the kingdom away out of Solomon's hands, right? But he didn't take it completely out, because Rehoboam still had Judah and eventually Benjamin and Levi, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 13, howbeit I will not rend away all thy kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen, right? So we see that Saul lost the kingdom, right? When does this fully happen? He loses it to Jeroboam, right? Which is the son of Nebat, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. We'll start at 31, right? 31. This is 1 Kings 11 and 31, same chapter. It says, and he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, and this is his garment that was torn. Take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and I will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. Just really, because there's going to be a nuclear bomb verse that's going to lay all this to bed, right? Understand what's happening. Saul lost the kingdom. What was the kingdom that he lost? The kingdom of Israel, right? The kingdom of Israel belonged to Saul at one point in time. Saul was unbelievably rebellious, and he had his own will, and he lost it to David. David had the kingdom. David had the kingdom until he died, and Solomon inherited the kingdom, right? This is the kingdom of Israel. Solomon loses the kingdom, but due to David's righteousness, Solomon kept one tribe. Jeroboam takes 10 tribes of this. So Jeroboam has the kingdom as well, but he doesn't have the full kingdom, just like Solomon doesn't have the full kingdom. Nonetheless, the kingdom represents the kingdom of Israel. That's when it got split up into two kingdoms, the northern and the southern kingdom. Regardless, it's still of Israel, right? Just remember that this kingdom is the kingdom of Israel, right? Because this next verse, or next few verses, are going to be what kind of is going to help put all this into perspective. In what I'm saying, what I mean when I say that heaven is on earth, right? Remember, the kingdom was on earth. People lost the kingdom due to wickedness. Now let's go real quick to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. And it says this, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Many Trinitarians like to go back, and forth about this verse. That's neither here nor there. We understand this is talking about the Davidic Messiah, which we will call Christ. Listen to what it says. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. Right? Let's really consider this. It's expressing that the Davidic Messiah is going to have a government of peace, and there will be no end of this government. This same Davidic Messiah will be sitting on the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it. Whose kingdom is it going to be upon? The kingdom of David, because again, the kingdom belonged to David, and the Davidic Messiah will be sitting on the throne of David, ruling David's kingdom. To do what? To order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. What does that sound like? The kingdom being established forever. It's telling you that David's kingdom will stand forever. And we see this in biblical prophecy, like we see in 2 Samuel, right? The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So the Lord promised King David that the kingdom of heaven, that his kingdom will last forever. That's what we see in the scriptures. That's the blessing that the Most High gave to David, and it's literally just that simple. David was given that as a blessing. But nonetheless, my point is, again, is to show that this is still David's kingdom, but we see the Davidic Messiah living in this kingdom and having this kingdom forever, right? And we can actually grab this real quick in 2 Samuel chapter 7, I believe. And let me see, was it 12? Bet, had it highlighted. It says, and when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish thy kingdom. And he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. So we see that the throne of David's kingdom will be established forever. Did it actually happen through Solomon? No, but we see it got fulfilled through who the world will call Christ, right? Next verse. Let's go to Daniel. Again, what was the point from going to Isaiah 9 and 6 and 7? Was to show that the Davidic Messiah will be sitting on David's throne, and will be in that kingdom, and his kingdom, he will be sitting on forever, right? These things will happen on earth. Okay, let's keep going. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse, let me see, 23, 27. Daniel 7 and 27, if I'm not mistaken. And it says this: and the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So we see that the kingdom of Israel will be established forever. The kingdom of Israel will be established forever. It's as simple as that. It even says it earlier in verse 14, right? Matter of fact, I even go to verse 13. It says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, that's who the world called Christ, came into the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, that's the Heavenly Father, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So we understand that when Christ comes, the one that will be sitting on David's throne will be ruling forever on earth. It'll be on earth. That's the whole point. It'll be on earth. Again, we haven't gotten to the nail in the coffin, but it's really self-explanatory now. But nonetheless, we're going to keep on going. I'm going to knock out this verse real quick in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 15. And it says this. It says, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. He shall reign forever and ever. So again, when the kingdom of heaven is established on earth, Christ will be sitting on the throne, and it will be forever. Literally, it'll be forever. It's that simple. So just think about the kingdom that we read about in the scriptures. It's going to be on earth. Literally, it's going to be on earth. Like when we go to and again, not to get sidetracked, when we go to verses like Matthew 8, we literally see that this is something that should be a clear symbol that, okay, that's going to be on earth, right? Like this is Matthew 8 and 11. It says, "And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven." It's on earth. It literally, it will be on earth. It's not something that's going to be in the sky. It is on earth, right? I just wanted to grab that real quick just to put everything in perspective. Nonetheless, this will be an everlasting kingdom forever. The kingdoms of the world will be given to the kingdoms of will be given to Christ, and he will take over. Still on the earth, right? Now I want to grab this verse right here, and I think this is, in my opinion, is the nail in the coffin. Because what is one thing that the disciples wanted or expressed their desire to be a part of? The kingdom of heaven. So when you see them ask Christ a question like this, it should show you exactly the point of what heaven actually is, and not this mystical belief of what people call it, right? So this is Acts chapter 1 and verse 6, and it says, "And when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?" Will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? They're asking, Lord, are you going to give the kingdom back to Israel? Because at that time, there's no way someone could say that the kingdom was in Israel's hands. Even if you want to say the Jews had the kingdom, the leader of the king of Israel at that time was an Edomite and was not an Israelite. So the apostles at this time were like, look, are you going to come back and return and restore the kingdom back to Israel? Because that's what we're waiting for, the time of restoration. That's it, the time of restoration. So the apostles were asking him, will you at this time restore the kingdom of Israel? Restore again the kingdom of Israel? And Christ says, and he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. Right? So we understand that the time when the Lord will do these things, it is not of us to know, when he does it. But again, it doesn't say that it'll never happen. It's to express that these things will actually happen on earth, right? They just didn't know when it would happen, right? So that'll be part one. I'll grab one more verse in Revelation chapter 21 and 1, just to kind of end it all. And it says, and I saw a new heaven and new earth, and the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no sea anymore. Right? So again, we see that the new heaven and the new earth will be established on earth. Right? It is, this new heaven is this new dominion. It's this new rulership. That's all it is. This new heaven is the new kingdom on earth, the new dominion change that's been established on earth. But that's pretty much it with that. Lord willing, this was Edifying Video Through the Spirit. I hope to bid everybody strong shalom. And Kwam Yasharallah, shalom.